Hi you guys, it's Melissa with The Creative Season. I'm super excited to be with you today. We're going to do some more sketching and painting today we're working on a spring home with flowers. And I'm going to be using a lot of spring, kind of the beginning of spring colors. So I'm going to sketch out a home and it's just going to be really simple. So if you want to sketch along with me, I'm going to be sketching out, it's a Georgian home is what the style is. So it's not too fancy as far as it's going to be kind of a box home with a chimney and a bunch of windows. And really what I want to do here is I want to leave enough room so I can have a little area for a pathway. And I didn't even give myself too much room, but that's okay. Pathway here, and I'm going to want some spring trees over here so we can do a flower field. So now I don't typically use a ruler, but sometimes for my house is just so I can get that bottom straight lined up. So if it makes you feel easier just to do a ruler up here, and then we'll go up here, and this will be a couple of inches up. So how big is that? That is about 2.5 inches high of a house. And then I just kind of connect the sides, just really nice light sketches. And I'm going to go ahead. Now with the Georgian style home, which was popular in the 17 and 1800s, they had a flat roof. So we have it coming up here like this. It was in country living. They had all of these old homes, kind of like fixer-uppers for sale. And while it looks like a ton of work, and I'm not sure if I have the fortitude, or let's be honest, the mechanical skill to refurnish, redo all that fixing up, I think it was really fun to kind of learn more about different styles of homes. Okay, so as straight as I can, I'm going to do a chimney here, just a little one. I'm going to sketch out my chimney, not too much detail. I'm going to put a door right where the path is, right here. And then I'm also going to put my molding around the door. I'm going to go ahead and sketch that in around it. That kind of gives me, when I paint, it just gives me that outline. I'll do a darker color in there. And also the Georgian home, they had like this little archway, which is kind of fun. Don't feel the need to do that if you don't like that though, but I'm gonna go ahead. I've just been practicing a little bit, trying to be, usually I mix and match my styles up, but I'm trying to learn the different parts of them, and so when I mix and match, I have a little bit more knowledge about what I'm doing. Okay, so what I normally do with windows is I do my start of my windows up here, so if I need to adjust I can. So there's going to be some windows. There's 4 windows upstairs, and I have a little bit of space above my archway. And then down below, I'm going to do 1 window here and 2 windows over here. And I'm not being real traditional. I think in a lot of the homes it was even on both sides. It was very identical, but we're not going to worry about that today. So I am going to go off cue there. And again, I'm not even connecting them. I just want an outline so when I start painting, I know where I'm going. We're going to end up probably, you can leave the watercolor super loose, or we can go into more detail with pen and ink. So, and then if you wanted to, go ahead and do a little bit of an outline where we're going to have our ledges, but you don't have to. I'm just going to do this. And then these are the windows. So I love these windows where there's lots of window panes. So that's what it's going to be. You don't feel the need to sketch that in. That'll be some detail we can add in later with some additional pen and ink. So hopefully you can see that. I'm going to go in a little bit closer so you can see that painting there. And then what I'm going to do too is I just want to outline. I think what I'm going to do is we are going to have a beautiful, let's see, we're going to have a beautiful, with maybe a sunset. So the whole sky will be kind of yellow. And I think what I'll do is I'm just going to sketch in some hills back here. Yeah, we'll maybe have it some hills, so maybe we'll even have like the sun going down right here, whatnot. Okay, so there's going to be some hills in the background, and this is super light. You can see, because with watercolor, sometimes the pencil sketches will come out, will show up, and so I try to make it nice and light. But I will go ahead and outline, let's see, I think we want to do a tree right here. Okay. And then maybe another tree. I always think of things in odd numbers, so I can do 1 tree, but if I start adding more trees, I'm going to have to do like 3 trees, which would be okay. We might do a little tree back here, and since it's farther away, we're going to make this one smaller, and this one maybe will be in the forefront here. Okay. And then we have our path, right? So we'll have our path winding around, and maybe we'll make it kind of disappearing behind this tree, and it's going to end up disappearing into the horizon. Okay, all right, so very light sketch. Now I already have my watercolors. I got some water on them already. I have my, if I back up a little bit more, I have my paint over here. I've got my watercolors and my brushes. I just grabbed a couple brushes. Brushes are all smaller. I think it's a 10, a 6, and a size 2, but whatever sizes you have is going to work. I've got my paint ready over here, and really the colors I'm going to use today are brown and yellow and green and blue and some orange. I love pink, but I thought today we're going to do like a really fresh spring painting, and I'm going to leave out the pink just for a little bit different today. And also what I've been noticing on my walks, you may have noticed this as well if you love to walk like I do, is there's tons of green right now, right? Because we've been getting some rain, which is fantastic. So all the greenery is showing up. We've got some blossoms on the trees, but we don't have too many flowers yet, at least not where I am. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna grab my brown, and I did get a lot of water on it. So, okay, we're gonna make sure we have lots of paint there. And I'm gonna go ahead, and I'm gonna go right here, and just gonna real lightly come over here. Now I will have to say we have a chimney, so I might end up putting, I think I'm going to make that chimney though, I'm going to take the brown and orange and mix those colors together, I think. We could always change my mind. Now when you paint, leave white, because remember watercolor, we love to just leave some white in. That kind of plays with the magic of the light playing around. And I think we're going to have a brown door, so I'm going to go ahead up here, and I'll paint the door brown, again leaving some white in there. I let the paint gather around. And then the archway too, I think I'll have that a nice brown. Nice and light. I'm going to also go ahead and put a little bit of brown on the path. And we'll add some additional color, so we'll change the depth of the color a little bit. If you want to make it a little bit watery as it goes and it fades in the distance, just add some water onto your brush. There. And then I'm going to come back with my tree, the tree trunks. And there we go. We can always, we're going to deepen this up. And you know what I did is I realized that I put that path where the leaves are going to be, but that's okay. Whenever you do that with watercolor, if you realize, oh dear, I just, I put in water, put in color where I didn't want to, or I was, just grab a napkin or a paper towel or a cloth, whatever you have available. I've got this napkin. I'm just going to rip off a piece here, and I will just come through and I'm just going to dab it like so, and that gets about it off. We're going to be putting a nice bold green there, so I am going to be doing a painting with all sorts of spring blooms, because those are just so fun to do. But for now, okay, so that we've got our brown down. You know what I want to do next while that's drying is I want to get in our background. So I want to get in our sunset. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some yellow, and I have, so over here, what I've done with the yellow over here, this is my palette. It hasn't been cleaned in a few days, so I've got the cadmium yellow, lemon yellow, and this is yellow ochre. And honestly, for this painting, I'm just letting them merge. I'm not even too particular. If I was doing face tones, like skin tones, I would be much more particular about the yellows and wash them out, because that is, skin tone is so delicate. But with sunsets, you notice it is just all sorts of colors. So with my background, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to lay in that background. Avoid this, the rooftop. Make sure we don't blend, otherwise your brown will get into the sky. If your brown gets into the sky, no worries. Just take your napkin and just dab it off, and then wait for it to dry and come back later. Now, if our sun is going down, that means we're going to have that beautiful, you know, maybe some pinks. No, we're not doing pinks. I have to keep telling myself that. I just love pink so much. We're going to have some oranges in the sky, right? So I'm going to just drop in some orange color. Not a lot, just a little bit. If I ever thought there was too much, I can always dab it out a bit. But I'm going to just let that dry. I think that's really fun and vibrant. It almost looks fallish, doesn't it? And I don't want it to look like fall. I think once we add in the green. So maybe I'm just going to dab out a little bit of the orange. I saw a really beautiful sky the other evening when I was taking the walk around sunset. It was just gorgeous. I'm going to put in just a tad of blue. Just a little bit up in the top. You don't have to do this if you think you're afraid it's going to get muddy. Sometimes it does, and that's a risk we're going to play with tonight. Okay, and I'm going to let that go. Just a little bit of blue. Just to emphasize that it's a sunset, not a sunrise. Okay, so we're going to leave that alone, and there's not too much sun anyway, so I am going to go ahead and lay down a little bit of green. So I'm going to lay down some green. I'm not going to do the hills yet because I don't want it to blend into the sun, but I will maybe start putting in some green. I think I'm going to go right here, and I'm just going to lay a little bit down on the tree here. Just a little bit of an outline even. I just am dabbing, leaving in your white. Again, keep adding water too so it's nice and light. We're going to go here with this tree. This tree is going to end up going all the way up, but putting a little bit down. I'm just putting in really the bottom of my trees, lining it out, whatever green you'd like. If you want to mix your blue and a yellow to create a green, feel free to do that. I've got a permanent green and I think it's I also have Hooker's green, which is a really nice green blue, which I really love. Okay, so now that I have that down too, I'm gonna go ahead and lay down some green over by the house. Not just again what I'm doing is I'm color blocking a bit. I want to see how all the colors go together. So I've got the green down there. What I'm thinking of with this house is I think I'm going to make the house I thought it'd either be a yellow, a sunshine yellow. You know, sometimes when the days too are gray, if you have like a bunch of rain in a row, it is nice to keep the spirits up, right? So I like to use a lot of yellow in my art. That's why I do a lot of yellow, pinks. It just is so colorful and such happy colors. I'm not painting in the windows. I'm leaving those alone, but I am dabbing the paint around the windows and on the body of the house. I'm really not concerned about having everything line up perfectly. When it dries, especially if the roof dries, we'll come back in and add some more paint. If you wanted to do a different color in your house, feel free to do that. Maybe you want to do it a nice blue. That would be really nice too. We'll end up I'm going to put some blue in the windows too to show that they're dark. And we'll match up the blue with that blue in the skies. I always like to have a few colors and mix them up all around the painting so that it's almost like a dance. Your eye just leads in everywhere. If you ever are concerned with one of your paintings that it doesn't quite look like it goes together, like it looks like a bunch of parts that don't quite belong, just move the colors around. What I mean is add different colors in different places. Add the colors that you've used in different places. And it creates a really lovely palette. So I've got the yellow here on the house. I've got the yellow in the sky. We'll end up putting some yellow around too and some flowers. So I'll add a little bit more yellow here up in the sky so it's kind of matching that fun intensity of the house. Okay, this is coming along really, really nicely. I love it. I'm going to take the bigger brush and I'm going to get some green. It has lots of water. And what I want to do now, okay, making sure you can see what I'm doing here, is I'm going to lay this is pretty dark, so maybe if it gets too dark, just dab it. Add some more water to your brush, and then come back in. So I'm just outlining back up here. We'll see if I'm doing this too early. Okay, I'm going to leave this alone. That's all going to be my tree. Okay, good. So again, I just wanted to lay down a little bit more color, a little bit along here, along the pathway. I'm going to end up adding some flowers, so that'll be fun. We'll add some sprinkle flowers. I think we'll do some yellow and some blue. That'll be really happy. I got just a little bit on my roof, and so I'll just blot that down. I'm going to go back in now with the trees, and I want to add in some color there. So I've taken my smaller brush now, and with my trees, I lift up and down. That way I'm not getting, I don't want solid lines in my trees. I want them to look like there's depth there, and there's different colors. And my sun area is a little bit wet, but that's okay because green on the yellow, it's not a big deal. If it was a blue sky, it would turn a little bit of mud if it wasn't all dry. Okay. This is just going to be a small tree. Back here. Always thinking too, if it's a sunset, we'll end up putting some shadowing down. I have to think too of where the sun's coming in, and that's going to affect our shadow. So if the sun is disappearing, our shadows are going to be falling in the foreground. And we'll add some shadowing to create that effect. Okay, I'm going to add some more, let that dry up there. Now with that same brush, I'm going to make some detail around the trees. And this can be so nice to do if you've had a long day, or maybe you're even starting your day, just sitting down with some paint. What I like to do is I like to set up my studio, my art table. It's not a full studio, and the night before, so whenever I come back to paint, I'm just doing some grass. Do some bushes over here. It's ready for me. Now I'm going to kind of set us up for doing some flowers here. So do some flower stalks and use nice long strokes to get some nice stalks in. We're going to put some beautiful flowers. And we'll do some layering. This is going to be really fun. In the foreground. Okay. Okay, so now I want to add in my windows. This is just about dry because I did a pretty light color of paint. So I'm going to go and grab some blue. And I'm going to go in here. I'm not going to go on the edges. I'm going to start in the middle of the windows and just pull that color down. And again over here, I'm going to pull that color down. And I'm going to pretend that all these lights are out, and that's why the windows are dark, because it is a gorgeous day and everyone is out taking a walk before they come home and get ready for bed. At least that's what's happening in my imagination. Okay. There we go. And you notice my blue, I'm going to get a little bit darker in here, that we have the same intensity. Now I think it would be fun, since we've got blue here, that we add some blue flowers. So, remember what I mentioned about just spreading around our color? So I'm just going to dab in some blue over here. Got some blue flowers there. Maybe back here. I think we're going to add in lots of beautiful flowers to our walk. And there we go, that's pretty. Very, very pretty. Put some over here too. And we're far enough away that we can't see the detail too much of the flowers. These are just lovely, lovely flowers everywhere. Okay, now we have our chimney right here, which we need to attend to. So I am going to take some orange. I'm going to take some brown, and I'm going to mix some orange and brown. I don't want to introduce a new color like a red. I'm afraid it'd be too much of a distraction. But we'll add this, add our nice chimney in here, and I may need to darken that up. We'll see. And then also, since we're here and we have our paint in the orange, we should probably go ahead and add some orange flowers. Yes? Maybe these are lovely poppies. I've been seeing lots of poppies when I'm out driving on the freeway. And I live in Northern California, and during this time of year, as the rains come, the poppies are flourishing on the highways. And we're going to add some here. Okay, now remember when I told you about the shadowing? I'm going to go back and get some green, because the shadow would fall in the over the awning, and it's going to fall here, right? So it would be darker right in here. So this grass all over here is going to be darker than perhaps the grass on the side of the house. So I'm going to go through here. And I just go right up to the edge of the house. And just imagining the shadows, it's going to come right up to the edge of our path and beyond. There we go. Okay. And then over here, I've got this wet over here, and it was that, let's just spread that out a bit more. That's our our hill in the back. We might put a little bit of ink on that hill. Now I'm going to go back to my brown now that my trunks are dry. And I am going to add a little bit of black to my brown. So I can get a little bit, I think it's a dark Payne's gray. I'm going to add that to my brown. So then with the trunk, I'm just going to do not outline per se, a little bit, but just to add some definition. And we'll end up going back with some more brown over it. And if you have some area, if you can do a branch, just show a branch coming through. Just some nice detail. You don't need to though. I'm going to add another branch right in here and go back with my brown and actually fill this one. I'm going to fill the whole thing in. And this might be a good time. If you have any branches that are coming up, you know the roots come up, you can add some more branches, a little bit of detail there. On the tree in the back, he's farther away, so not so much detail. Maybe I'll let that go just like that. And then coming back to our door, I'm just going to add some more color there. Now in the path right here, we'll make it darker because again, that's in shadow. Now there's always a natural shadow underneath the eaves of a house. Right in here, right? So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to take a little bit of the brown and mix it with my yellow. Not a lot, sorry, I hit that. And then right underneath here, I'm going to do that darker yellow, and I got a little blue. That's okay, we'll clean that up later. And then underneath all the windows, because there's going to that ledge, there's going to be a shadow. I'm going to create a shadow there. And then under the archway right here, I'm going to do shadow around this whole thing. Now if we had purple in the painting, I'd add purple. Actually, when you mix with yellow, it creates a really nice shadow. But I don't want to mix in purple with this painting. And it's going to blend, and that's okay. I'll probably end up cleaning it up with some pen and ink later. I'm going to add a little bit more orange up here. I'm just going to set it in. And I'm going to put some orange flowers back here. We'll come back in and add some more stems later. And this is pretty free. This is pretty messy. I'm not really worried about detail here. Very loose watercolor. Lots of fun. Now I don't like it when it feels like they got a little bit stained or they blended too much. So what I will come back into is just do some more dabbing to kind of differentiate my flowers here. I've had some problems with my green there. It kind of bunched up together and I don't like that. So we will kind of paint that in a little bit, not a lot. Okay, I need to create some depth with my leaves, so I am going to add a little bit of brown to the green. The same brown we've been using, and it's really just to darken it up. I don't want to do too much, it'll be too... But see how I just create a shadow there? It's just a little bit darker. If you think too of trees or where the shadows are, that shadows create the depth is always going to be towards the base, right? And actually, because the sun is actually hitting the back side of our house, it's hitting the back side of our trees, the front of these trees is going to be darker. And we'll do again, it's dry now, so I can go back and add some detail so it doesn't look like my tree is blending into the sky. You have to be a little bit patient with the watercolor, or you have to be really okay with letting it just blend. Okay, so that's coming along nicely. Again, this is not terribly neat or detailed. We'll end up doing another layer of color. We're going to do another layer of pen and ink. That's going to clean it up. I'm going to darken up my roof a bit here. I'm going to add some shadowing right here. That's coming along really, really nicely. I really probably should let it dry a little bit. Before I do, I am going to come back with a little bit of that yellow and just dab it into my sun. Now what I'll do too is I will get my brush really, really wet with clean water, drop it into the yellow paint, and then just kind of lightly touch it in here. Oops, and sometimes, see what I did there? That happens. If that happens, take your paper towel or your rag, just blot it down. We'll come back and take care of it. Now I know this looks a little bit messy right now and undone, especially the house, because you can see I have colors that are blending, but that's gonna be, we're gonna end up fixing all of that with pen and ink. I'll come back with my black micron pens. We'll clean this up. I'll add the detail to the window that I want. I'll go ahead and clean up a little bit. I'll let this dry and add some more paint in here. I do want to go ahead and take a clean brush. It's just wet, there's no paint on it, and sometimes what I'll do is I'll try to get out any harsh lines that happens when the paint settles. So I'll just, again, that clean brush is helping to soften those out. It won't take the paint away, but it will soften any harsh lines that you're not happy with. If I wanted to be daring, and you know, sometimes I just think to myself, there is lots of things in the world that are super important decisions, but sometimes you can be bold with the watercolor painting, right? If it really messes up, it's not a big deal. I'm going to add just a little bit of orange back here, as if that sun is setting right behind the trees, right behind the mountains there. Don't be afraid to go bold with color. More often than not, it just turns out to be a lot of fun. And if everything really does fall apart, I'll just end up using the painting in one of my joyful journals. I'm going to do a little bit more yellow over here because that sun would be showing up, and I got some green. But you know what? That's not a big deal. I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to dab it off just like this. Okay, I think this is coming along really, really nicely. Now, I'm going to take a break here because if I use my micron pen on wet paint, it will do some damage to the pen and it won't work anymore. So I'm going to turn off the video here. We'll be back with the second part, but we've got this beautiful spring painting done. And even though we were experimenting today, not using pink, I've got beautiful orange flowers as if they were a field of poppies with some beautiful wild blue flowers in there as well. We're going to come back and finish up in just the next video. I'm super excited to see how it's going to turn out. All right, I'll see you in the next video.